Hello, Nicholas here with another episode. Today I'm going to be discussing majorly about LAMP stack behind the scenes, my LAMP stack workflow for clients. Now, I realize that when I say LAMP stack, most people do not really understand what I mean. So, in programming, or maybe let me just say software development, there are various stacks people use to create a project, like a website or mobile app or custom software. Yeah. And there is main, there is mean, which means MongoDB, Express, Angular, or React, and Node.js, right? But for LAMP, it actually means Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP or Python. You are using Python. However, I do use PHP, right? And I actually the first programming language I learned was Java. But I had to switch to web development at the time in 2013 because I realized that most projects are web based. And at that time, I did not really know we could use Java to create websites, which is still the best decision because it is so much easier with a LAMP stack than trying to recreate it or do it with Java. So ever since then, I just stuck with it. I didn't try and be moving from stack to stack. And over the years, I just preferred it. If I'm being honest, this is easier for me as time goes by. Because of the fact that I have known basically almost every corner of it. I have participated in communities. I have contributed in so many ways. So I just stuck with it over the years, and this is from 2013, right? And I'm going to go through what each of these acronyms, if you say, may. So when they say Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, Linux represents the operating system. It's not actually representing it. L in the lamp represents Linux. Linux is actually the operating system where your codes are going to be stored, right? Then Apache is more like the handler. It comes with Linux, and it handles most of those processes, your HTSS, your configuration files. Then MySQL is for the database, making sure in the language you use to communicate to the database. And PHP is the script, basically backend script that you use to run business logic on your project. Let's say the user puts in their details, right? And clicks on submit. PHP would handle collecting those details from JavaScript. It will still come to the front end side and processing it, making sure it is sanitized, making sure it's not empty if you don't want it empty, and sending it to MySQL, which stores it on the database. And once it's stored, it's able to know, okay, this has been recorded and let you know, okay, your account has been created, right? So that's basically what these four um, platforms, or I should say platforms, acronyms do basically do. It's very simple and straightforward. LAMP, anytime you hear it, so you don't get confused, it just means Linux, the operating system, Apache, the handler, and MySQL for the database, PHP, or the scripting. Now, aside from this, there are other things you do need if you are doing a website, a web application. You need a front end, which is what the user sees on their browser. Or if you are doing an app, we need obviously the front end, what they see on their mobile app, right? And to do that, basically what I do use is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, I play around with frameworks for CSS and JavaScript. HTML is kind of boom. Bootstrap, you can say, is a framework for HTML and CSS, but primary CSS, right? So I use Bootstrap a lot, and for JavaScript, I use plugins if necessary. Let's say I want to put some charts, I use charts.js plugin, or if you want to put a live chat, you can use talk.to or TGO. There are so many plugins you can integrate into your JavaScript. You can also use jQuery, which is a framework. There are so many other frameworks in JavaScript, but I actually use jQuery as opposed to any other one. Then you code your JavaScript. JavaScript is actually very easy to understand. So for the front end, those are basically what I do use to make sure that the user sees and communicates with the server. Obviously, what the user sees is going to determine what the server processes. I think this is basic, but let me explain what I mean. If you're signing up on, you put first name and last name, gender, username, what they see is what they're going to enter. And obviously, based on what they've entered, you process that data on your server. All right. So if a client is to approach me for a job, the first thing I'm going to do is to gather their project ideas together, their objectives, their pain points, make sure I have an idea of what they want. When I mean what they want, I don't mean what they want me to do, but what they actually want to achieve from the software. And based on years of doing this, it's 12 years now, it usually comes down to three things. It's either they want to make more money, or they want to reduce their cost, which is their expenses, or they want to save time, that's automate things and more. So these three things are, from my experience, the major drivers. And to be honest with you, for the how long I've done this, I don't think I've gotten a project that has that these three things are are complete. Like the project is solving for those three things. Usually it's two things, like maybe reduce costs and save time, or boost revenue and reduce cost, or boost revenue and save time, or maybe one of each of them. Maybe as time goes on, I'll probably meet a project that will match or check the boxes for this straightness. It's usually this straightness. Yeah. So once I've figured out what they want to do, I will start from there as the reference point to now start asking them questions on how are we going to do this and do that, and try and get an idea of what they want to do. Because at the end of the day, if the software does not solve the particular goal they are looking to achieve, they are not going to be satisfied. It will end up just disturbing you endlessly. So I'm even doing it for my own sake as opposed to doing it generally just for them. So once I've settled that and I have an idea of what that does, the next thing I do is the wireframing and the planning, which is I try to visualize or document how long the project is going to take me to get done, and I'll break it down into weeks. There are some projects that I can even finish in a week, so I break it down into days. So that gives me a guide on how long it's going to take, what I'm going to deliver, and I now present a project proposal, which obviously, if I'm breaking it down into weeks, is going to state, but this is what I'll update you for this week, right? Then we have, once I've settled that aspect, the next thing I do is the design of the backend and database architecture. I try to have a field day. I just take like a full day to map out how the database is going to look like, what is going to be the connection between a table and the other table, and have a full idea like what is going to be like. I don't try to spend so much time doing this because from experience, as you develop, things change, but it gives you like a starting point or a guide on how to structure, especially the admin portal, because doing that would really help you regarding the admin portal side. Then I now start the coding of the front end, the PHP. If I need to use a template, I'll find the perfect template that will fit, or a template that I will do some changes or corrections here and there. So as you can see from this, we've already included the database, which is the MySQL part. We've included the PHP side, which is the backend handling the business logic. Then we'll now start setting up the front end side, which is where the HTML, Bootstrap for CSS, and JavaScript comes in. Now, once all this is done, we would now send it to the server. Depending on the client, most times I always suggest start small so they can start with a cPanel. Yeah, maybe a shared VPS or a dedicated server, and that is where the Linux and Apache comes in, because cPanel is on Linux, right? The Apache is where we do the settings and the handling. In most cases, you don't really even need to touch the Apache side, but I always configure my htaccess file, which is a file that would help you do maybe some configurations like write, make sure that maybe your file extension .php is not showing on the browser, and all those little tricks. I use them .htaccess, which is an Apache setting, to configure all those things. Then we now proceed to the testing, feedback, revisions. They test it, they confirm that what I did is actually achieving the goal that they want, right? Then obviously maintenance in the future. All right. So this is kind of like behind the scenes of how the entire project begins. And I've explained to you what LAMP stack means. So whenever you are speaking with a developer and you are hearing we use LAMP stack, you just simply know that they're just telling you that this is their preferred choice or how they organize their projects, basically on the backend side, right? Because Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, they are all backend stuff, right? In fact, we've done this countless times. There are so many examples online, on our project that we've done using Lampstack, right? If I check our portfolio to see that. Uh, so that's basically it. That's all I have for you for today. Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.